Today on Heat of the Drum, it is meatball time. Meatball subs. Wait till you try this one. And welcome back to Heat of the Drum. My name is Steve. Thanks for stopping by. Today we are doing smoked meatball sub sandwiches. And let me tell you, the neighbors are going to be beating down your door and jumping over your fence trying to get these because they smell so good when they're in this drum smoker cooking that they're probably going to be stopping by on you. So first thing we got to do is go ahead and get our rub mixed up here. So let's go ahead and start with that, and I'll show you exactly what I have here. Okay, let me show you what we got here. So to make this rub, this is kind of my all-purpose barbecue rub. Tastes really good on these meatballs. What I have here is a 1/4 cup of light brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of ground pepper, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of ground mustard, and an 1/8 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And a little windy today, but we're going to try to keep it all in the bowl here. So here we go. And we're just going to get everything combined in here. The rest of that out. Go to the last drop. Okay, let's get it combined. And when you're done, it's going to look like that. Okay, so we got our rub set off to the side. Now let's talk about these meatballs. So what I have here, let's use one of these gloves for now, is this is a 1.5 pounds of 80/20 ground chuck. So let's go ahead and get that in the bowl. Just sit over here for now. And then I also have 1 pound. This is a 1.5 pounds of 80/20 ground chuck and 1 pound of pork sausage. This just happens to be Bob Evans. You can use whatever you want. It's just what I can get my hands on, so that's what I'm using. And we'll go ahead and get that in here too. Okay, so what I have here first is, this was 1/2 of a yellow onion that I put in this little chopper, and I minced it up pretty fine. And we're going to add that in here. Now let's go ahead and get all that out of there. Okay. To that, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of this Worcestershire sauce. 1, 2. Next up, 1/2 teaspoon red pepper flake. 1.5 cups, just regular panko breadcrumbs. Two eggs. Slide this over a little bit. Our sauce we're using now, I wanted to keep it simple. Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. Just regular barbecue sauce. And we're going in with a 1/4 cup. Right there. Next up, 1/2 teaspoon of just regular salt. Half teaspoon ground pepper. Now it's time to glove up and mix it up. And the best way to do that is just get your hands all in there. So that's what we're going to do. And the best way to do it is kind of just keep folding it in. And you want to mix until it's thoroughly mixed together. That little onion chunk there that didn't get mixed or minced down, get him out of there. Okay, and you'll start to see it coming together like this. And there we go. Now let's talk about these meatballs. Okay, so what I have set up here is I just have this little rack here, or a little sheet pan, I should say, with these little racks on here. And what I'm going to do is actually weigh these meatballs out. Now you can eyeball them and do them however you want. Roll them up, kind of eyeball, and do you think they're all the same? However you want to do it. I'm picky. I like them all to be the same. So I'm going to roll these into 3-ounce meatballs and just roll all this up, and we'll see how many we get. And to me, it's worth it, the little bit of extra effort. It doesn't take long to do. Once you kind of get in a groove and seeing what 3 ounces looks like to you, you'd be surprised how quickly you can do these. And then we'll just roll them up into a ball like this. And set them here for now. See what I mean? You get pretty quick at them. So just roll them up. Let me go ahead and knock the rest of these out, and I'll bring you back. Okay, so what we ended up with, 17 meatballs, and one that was about a half of a meatball, which I guess you could smoke if you want to. I wasn't too concerned with it. But we got one more step to do on these before they are prepped. Remember that rub we made? Here it is. So what we're going to do is go ahead and just grab one and season, put it back on the rack, and they'll go back in the fridge until we get the smoker going. So let's go ahead and take care of this. So we'll just grab a meatball and hold it over the bowl. And what you want to do is totally season the outside of this thing. Sprinkle it all around, get that thing seasoned. And then once you do, pack it in there, just like that. And we'll do that to all 17. And you will have just enough rub to do all 17 of those. You can see this is what I had left right there, so it works out perfect. Now these are going to go hang back in the fridge, and we're going to work on getting this drum fired up. And if you want to know how to build a drum smoker just like this one, I got a step-by-step video on my channel. Check it out. Let's get this bad boy going. Okay, let's talk some charcoal. Today we're using Royal Oak lump charcoal mixed with Kingsford. And I have the same thing in my chimney here, filled about 3/4 the way up. Now, as far as wood, what we're going to do is I got a couple chunks of cherry and I got a couple chunks of hickory that we're going to add in there. And what I always like to do is just kind of put them to the outside a little bit so they don't burn up right away before my meat gets in there. So I usually will stage them around like this. All right, we are rocking and rolling. Got the chimney going. We're going to wait about 20 minutes and then we'll be able to dump this thing in and work on getting this thing up to temp. Our cooking temp today is going to be 275, give or take, in that range. And that's what we'll be striving for. So bring you back when I start dumping these coals in. And I always use a restrictor plate. Go ahead and get that in. I like to add a bowl of hot water. And we'll be cooking on the top grate. So we'll go ahead and get that in. Go ahead and get our thermometer in here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that lid stay off for about 7 minutes. Then we'll get the lid on. And then we'll really be working on dialing this thing in and getting it up to temp. And normally, if you guys have been watching my videos, you always see me measure. But I came up with this idea. I got a bunch of bolts just laying around the house, so I end up cutting them down and leaving the smooth shank on there. And I got every size that I need when I'm cooking, so it just makes it a lot easier. I no longer will be measuring. I'll just be using these as spacers. All right, everybody, it is time to get these meatballs on there, and I'm telling you what, these have been hanging out in the fridge the whole time. I did not take them out and let them sit out and get room temperature or anything. I just kept them in the fridge the whole time, and they're going right from the fridge right on the smoker. Our smoker right now, our target temp is 275. We are rocking 269. I'll bring you in so you can see that. And you can see, actually, it just popped back up, so we are at 271, and our target temp, like I said, was 275. So we're right where we want to be. Let's go ahead and get these meatballs on. All right, here we go. Yes. And I'm going to work quick so I don't mess up my heat. Keep them relatively close to each other. And that looks pretty good to me. All right, so we're going to let these go for 45 minutes. At 45 minutes, we are going to rotate them, and then we are going to put our sauce together here. Can't have a meatball sub without a marinara sauce, and it's very simple. And we'll get to that when the time comes. So I'll see you in 45 minutes. Okay, my friends, we are 45 minutes in. It's time to mix up our marinara sauce, get it on the smoker, and go ahead and rotate those meatballs. So let's go ahead and make our sauce. It's really easy and really tasty. Here we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is get our little trusty cast iron saucepan out. And remember that Sweet Baby Ray's that we added into our meat mixture? We're going to be going back to that and using that. So what we're going to do is take a half a cup of this Sweet Baby Ray's. So let's go ahead and get that mixed out. Right there. And let's get that all out of there. That looks good. And then what we have here is a can of Rouse homemade marinara. And what we want here is a cup and a half. So let's go ahead and open that up. We'll get a cup. It's like a cup. And dump that in. And a half. And we'll go ahead and get that mixed up the best we can. And we will get this in the smoker with no lid and let this start heating through. And we're going to rotate our meatballs. So let's do that right now. All right, let's take a look at these meatballs and give them a rotation. Oh man, look at those. Let's go ahead and get our thermometer out. We're going to go ahead and rotate these guys. I like to rotate just in case there's a hot spot, you know. You can kind of mitigate anything getting done way ahead of the other stuff. And we're going to go ahead and just put our sauce on right here. It'll be fine right there. Matter of fact, before we get our lid on, let's go ahead and get a quick temperature read on these guys. I'm going to go right here in the center on this guy. And we are looking at about 145. So we got a ways to go. Let's get the lid back on. Okay, so we are 145 on our meatballs. We still got a ways to go. I'd like to get around 170, 172, right in that range right there. And then that's when these things are really good. So let's go ahead and let them cook a little bit longer. It's going to be at least probably another 20 minutes. And we'll check them again. It's been another 40 minutes I let it go. And my ThermoPro's alarming. And let's get a look at these. And you guys can see our target temp for the smoker was 275. We're rocking 271. So we're right there. Our meatballs just hit 170. They're 171. We're going to take them off. Oh yeah, look at those. First thing we're going to do is going to stir this sauce because I've not been able to stir it. And the sauce is going to stay on. We got one more thing we got to do to these meatballs. So I'm going to give that a nice stir. And then let's get these meatballs off. Look at those. Nice and mahogany. Oh man, I'm telling you, these things are crazy good. And we're not done yet. I'm going to do one more thing. Look at that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring that in just a little bit. I'm going to add a piece of foil on here, and you'll see why in just a minute. And look at these meatballs. Man, they look good. Let's get our sandwich assembled. Now what I got here is some 6-inch sub buns, about 6-7 inches maybe. I've just kind of thrown under a broiler and toasted them just a little bit so they can take what we're going to do to them. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and grab 3 of these meatballs, just like that. Let's go ahead and get this off to the side and get another bun here, and we'll grab 3 more, just like that. Okay, we ain't gonna just eat them like this now. That would be too boring. So I got some provolone cheese. We're gonna go ahead and put a couple slices of provolone on each one of these, just like that. And then we're going to set these back on the smoker. And that is exactly why I put this foil in here earlier, because we're just going to set this guy on here just like this. And we're going to take this other guy and set him just like that. Back on with the lid. And it's only going to take a couple minutes to melt that cheese, and we're going to get those out, get them sauced up, and give these things a try. All right, it's time. Let's get these things off. I'm hungry. Here we go. Look at that. Well, my friends, I wish you were here so you could taste this, because it's going to be good. Let me bring you in and give you a closer look at what's going on here. I'm telling you, these things are really good, and the only thing left to do is go ahead and get some marinara across the top of it. All right, my friends, the moment we've all been waiting for. Time to sample this thing. Let me recap real quick what we did today. So first we made a rub, homemade rub, my kind of all-purpose barbecue rub that I like to use on a lot of different meats. It's really good. And we, after that, set that to the side, and we made our meat mixture. 1.5 pounds of 80/20 ground chuck and 1 pound of sausage. Combine that with all of our other ingredients, the breadcrumbs, the barbecue sauce, some salt, pepper, a couple eggs, panko, breadcrumbs, and went back in the fridge, hung out until we got our smoker up to temp. We were smoking at 275 today. Took about, it was about an hour and a half. And pulled them off. First we toasted a few sub buns, pulled the meatballs off, put it on there, couple pieces of provolone cheese on each one of those sandwiches, threw it back in there on a piece of foil, let it melt for a couple minutes. It didn't take long. Pulled it out, added our marinara sauce that we made. Simple marinara, but very effective for this sandwich. And there's nothing left for me to do now but to try this thing. And man, I'm ready. Here we go. I tell you what, those meatballs are so tender. Let me bring you in for a look at that. You can see the inside of that. It's not dry at all. It's nice and tender. And look at that. Let's get another bite. I tell you, it was a windy, humid day, and these hit the spot. Mm, I'm telling you. You talk about tender. Till I see you again, my friends. You can do this too. So I see you again next time on Heat of the Drum. Now I'm going to finish this sandwich and possibly have another one.